How to be a good citizen. NSTP 1 Module on Good Citizenship Values. Our learning objectives today is at the end of the discussion, the student will be able to 1. Demonstrate good citizenship as a duty of every Filipino. 2. Help and affirm and reinforce one another as they seek to be good citizens. 3. Let the students realize the vital importance of the value of unity in nation building and progress. And lastly, 4. To be able to identify the relevance and implications of the value of equality. The following are the good citizenship core values, namely PAGKAMAKADIOS, PAGKAMAKATAO, PAGKAMAKABAYAN, at PAGKAMAKAKALIKASAN. We are now going to resume studying the 4 different core values for good citizenship or Filipino good citizenship. We will first tackle PAGKAMAKADIOS. The 4 core values of good citizenship has been implicitly mentioned in the preamble of the 1987 Philippine Constitution. We, the sovereign Filipino people, imploring the aid of the Almighty God, in order to build a just and humane society and establish a government that shall embody our ideals and aspirations, promote the common good, conserve and develop our patrimony, and secure to ourselves the posterity, the blessings of independence, democracy under the rule of law, and regime of truth, justice, freedom, love, equality, and peace, do ordain and promulgate this Constitution. In this diagram on your screen, makikita ninyo yung flow ng ating concept about pagkamakadiyos or belief in God. Makikita natin horizontally on the left and on the right, makikita natin yung faith in the Almighty at sa kabila naman yung concern for the family and future generation. Below that, sa pagkamakadiyos or belief in God, makikita natin yung tatlong circles which represent yung resultant na values emanating from the pagkamakadiyos core values, namely respect for life, orderliness, and work. Respect for life, ang ibig sabihin nun, yung life na yan ay pinaniniwala ng mga Pilipinong galing sa Diyos or divinely sourced. And then, makikita din natin nandun yung tinatawag na joy of living. Under orderliness, makikita natin yung area ng capability to prioritize and then to be a diligent student or citizen. And then thirdly, dun sa work circle, makikita natin yung value, essence ng work or why man should work, why must a citizen, good citizen must work, because it emanates from the idea and the concept that since God works and is a working God, man also ought to work. So in all of this, makikita natin yung flow ng ating lesson for today. Okay, on the next slides, makikita natin yung learning objectives under pagkamakadiyos core value. Why is it important na meron tayong learning objectives? Ito yung ating tinatawag na compass, anchor, para tayo hindi nawawala kung saan sa tayo pupunta, but instead, we will have our guide, makikita nating limitations ng ating pinag-aaralan, at the same time, hindi tayo naliligaw kung saan tayo pupunta. So, this will help us to better grasp yung lesson natin for today. Okay, mentioned here, at the end of the discussion, the student or you students will be able to recognize the unique faith of the Filipinos in God. Number two, to rouse the students' awareness of the social issues that challenge their personal convictions about the value of life. And thirdly, we will be able, or you will be able, the student will be able to identify the significance of the value of order or orderliness in their lives and in nation building. Okay, firstly, we will discuss about faith in the Almighty. Dalawa di ba yung nakita nyo kanina? Vertically, emanating from that pagkamakadios core values for being a good Filipino citizen. Nandun sa kabilang side, horizontally, yung faith in the Almighty. Sa kabila naman, yung concern and love of the family. Okay? So parang yun yung naging vertical elements or resultant ng pagkamakadiyos. Now, faith in the Almighty. Faith in the Almighty or the belief in the existence of God is generally an innate trademark of Filipino value or trademark Filipino value. Now, faith, dahil iba-iba yung ating background, we have different backgrounds, we have different culture, we have different lifestyles, so we interpret or we have different view of what faith is. So generally speaking, when we talk about faith in the Almighty, it means yung belief natin in the existence of God. So generally speaking, all Filipinos, most of us believe in the existence of the Almighty. Di ba? And generally also, ito ay innate or natural. It emanates from our inner self bilang Filipino value natin. So most of us believe in the existence of a certain all-powerful being which we call God. Another point on faith in the Almighty is that many Filipinos were driven to their knees before their supposed God in the midst of their calamities and oppression or adversities. And one good example of that is the EDSA Revolution. Filipinos banded together, they prayed together, and finally reached a status quo that they would do something about this. So they stand together, they stood together, at sila po ay nagkaroon ng isang malawakang protesta. And because every Filipino during that time, most of them are ready for this, yung tinatawag na novel action, in the name of their God and in the name of their tinatawag na ideology. Okay? So, naging successful po yung EDSA Revolution. One example, yan po nung tinatawag na moving faith in the Almighty. Now, under the core value of pagkamakadiyos, vertically, nandun yung immediate value resultant also, which is called 1, respect for life, 2, order or orderliness, and 3, yung work or value of work. Now, when it comes to respect for life, many Filipinos and most of us do believe that life emanates and came from God. It is a precious gift of God, and therefore, we should uphold and recognize each other's dignity of life. Kinakailangan respeto natin ito because life itself came from God. And since it came from God, it is also right and it's our responsibility to safeguard it or being a guardian dun sa tinatawag na basic human rights. So, importante po yan. Reflecting also from the book of life or the Bible, sa Mark 11:22 and 23, sabi doon, Jesus said to them, have faith in God. Whoever says to the mountain, be lifted up and thrown to the sea, and does not doubt in his heart, but believes that what he says will happen, it shall be done for him. So Jesus said, he beseeched, he encouraged his disciple during that time, have faith in God. Mahalaga po yung faith. So faith begets life. Once you have faith in God, you have life in God. And another passage from the Bible also, Genesis 1:27, God created man in his image, and in the divine image he created him, male and female, he created them. Since we are made according to the image of God himself, therefore we are the exact representation of God according to this passage. And therefore, life should be what? We must treasure it, love it, and take care of it. Now, after respect for life, another resultant value emanating from pagkamakadiyos core value is order or orderliness. Okay, how do we define orderliness? Order is making things right. And right is making things in order. Ibig sabihin, pag may order sa buhay mo, may kaayusan sa buhay mo, sigurado may tamang nangyayari sa buhay mo. At kung may mga tamang nangyayari sa buhay mo, it is only possible that there is order in your life. So, parang gano'n yun, ano? Okay, now, how do we define orderliness? Now, first thing, kailangan maintindihan natin na yung orderliness ay may kinalawang sa art of prioritizing. Pag sinabing prioritizing, alam mo kung ano ang dapat una, pangalawa, pangatlo, pang-apat, and so on and so forth. So, yun yung tinatawag na prioritizing. When it comes to prioritizing, kailangan marunong kang mag-planning. Magkasama yan. When you want to prioritize, to be successful in your prioritizing, you must know how to plan. So, yun yung tinatawag na essence of doing first things first. Ano ang dapat unahin, ano ang susunod, pangatlo, pangalawa. So, may hierarchy. Another thing is, we must learn to be orderly in our work. Bakit? Because when you are an orderly man or woman or young man or a lady, sigurado, nandun yung tinatawag na what? Success. Success is so near you. Progress is just around the corner when you are an orderly person. So how do you do that? By establishing practically a system. A system is similar to routine. Kasi yung system, if you have a system, you can apply the system, the same system today, tomorrow, next time. And although it will not guarantee yung tinatawag na laging success, but if you have a system, you have something to work on to be successful. Another thing about orderliness, okay? Orderliness, ang opposite niyan is chaos o yung tinatawag na kaguluhan. Okay? Kaayusan, syempre, kaguluhan. Pag may kaayusan, progress and success is quite near. Possible. But if there's chaos, huwag kang umasa na may kahihinat ng maganda pag magulo ang sitwasyon, ang paligid, ang isip, at ang bansa. Okay, kanina binanggit natin, orderliness follows progress. So yan po yung ating importanteng natutunan ngayon about orderliness. Sigurado, progress is just around the corner or nakabuntot na sa iyo yung progress. Now, how would that happen to your life? Okay, alam mo yung mga Pilipino, hindi lahat orderly. So kailangan magbago. So change and transformation should begin sa iyo. Hindi sa kapitbahay mo, but from you. Now let us go back to the book of life and try to learn about orderliness. You know, in the Bible, yung tinatawag na law and order is a very important value and Christian exercise. Okay? When Jesus fed the 5,000, nag-exemplify siya ng orderliness. 1, where to find food or bread. 2, after finding the bread, he prayed and thanked the Lord. 3rd, okay, and thirdly is that i-distribute. Dinistribute ba agad? Hindi muna. Okay, inutusan niya yung disciples niya, paupuin yung mga tao sa grass by groups. That is orderliness. And then, tsaka pa lang dinistribute yung pagkain o yung bread. And then, after distributing the bread, they start eating. Maayos, hindi ba? May order doon. And another important element of orderliness is after they ate, okay, ginather yung natira. Inilagay sa isang several baskets, I should say. And then, ano kaya ginawa doon sa mga baskets na natira? Tinapon? Nagkalat ba sila? Hindi. There was an orderliness, a spirit of orderliness pagkatapos nun. At siguro may take home pa sila. Na bread pa uwi. Now, the third value resultant ng tinatawag na core value o pagkamakadiyos is what we call work or the value of work. Now, what is work? Work is the activity or an activity involving mental or physical effort. So, sabihin natin, one character ng work is it is an activity. May pagkilos. Okay? Whether it's physical or mental. So, may effort na nangyayari. Okay? Sabi doon, kailangan merong activity, merong effort na nangyayari. But it's pure movement. Hindi work ang tawag doon unless meron tinatawag na purpose. So, that's one important thing about work. Work is work when there is something to achieve or there is something to wait or a result to be waited o yung tinatawag na goal. So, tandaan po natin, anything that has not a goal set, hindi yan work. Kahit pa yan, magagawa pa sila ng magagawa dyan, as long na walang purpose, walang goal, it is not work at all. Now, let's talk about work and man. Man is destined to work because it is his nature to work. It is according to the concept that since God, his creator, is a working God, therefore, he is a working man. Sa isang bansa, in any nation that values work and hard work, expect na ito ay may progress sa kanilang ekonomiya at sa kanilang sosyedad. Another value of work ay yung you become to be self-reliant. You become what? Hindi ka dependent sa iba. You develop the value of self-reliance. And then, yung kasabihan na don't settle for mediocrity but aim for excellence is an important precept. Ano yung mediocrity? Halimbawa, 1:10, yung tinatawag na value ng iyong gagawing project. You aim for 5 only. Hindi 10. That is mediocrity. Kasi mediocrity means media. Media, kalahati lang. Kalahati ng 10 is 5. And worse, kung ang inihit mo ay lesser pa ng 5. So you don't settle for it. For mediocrity, you aim for 10. And 10 is the excellent number. Okay? Sabi din ni Benjamin Franklin, well done is better than well said. Ano ibig sabihin nun? Well done. Talk is cheap. You talk too much, I talk too much, pero walang work, walang result. Sa ngayon, many young people are what? Result-oriented. Maraming mga companies, corporate world, ang hinahanap nila, hindi yung rhetorics, hindi yung ganda ng mga sinasabi mo. What we want is an evidence of your work. We want result. Now, what are the other values of work? Sabi dito, pakinggan natin. Living within your means is spending less than what you earn. Ano ibig sabihin nun? Kapag ikaw ay nabubuhay o nag-i-spend ng lesser than what you earn, okay, or what your income is, you actually what? Saving money or saving things. Halimbawa, 1,000 sweldo mo. Pagkatapos, ang expenditure mo is 200 lang. Di meron kang 800, di ba? Okay, pero pag ang sweldo mo 1,000, ang gastos mo 1,800, magkakautang ka. Yun ang ibig sabihin ng living within your means is spending less than what you earn. Another thing, living within one's means is the key daw sa elements of success and progress because it encourages the values of discipline, frugality, prudence, and the virtue or the virtue of temperance. Okay, it's not all about money. It's all about values, discipline, frugality. Okay, ano yung frugality? Marunong ka mag-handle ng money. Prudence, you distinguish what is right and wrong, what is best and worst. And then the virtue of temperance, you what? You have self-discipline. You know how to what? Control yourself. Now, let's talk about again the reflection on work from the Book of Life. Sabi doon, pray as if everything depended on God and work as if everything depended on you. Parang yan yung tinatawag sa Tagalog na nasa Diyos ang awa, nasa tao ang gawa. But it's a good precept. Why? Pray as if everything depended on God and work as if everything depended on you. That is to become faithful and self-reliant. 6 days you shall labor and do all your works. On the 7th day you shall rest. Ang importante sa akin dito is the word rest. Rest is the celebration of the 6 working days God hath done. So yung rest, hindi yun what? Hindi lang pahinga sa physical, but to appreciate what you have done, what you have accomplished after working for 6 days. So importante yung rest day. Now, let's go now to the concern for the family and future generations. Natapos natin tatlong sabihin natin resultant values that emanates na nanggaling dun sa core values ng pagkamakadiyos. Now, there are two. Remember that? Two horizontal elements ng pagkamakadiyos core value. Yung isa, yung faith in the Almighty, and the other one, which we are going to discuss now, is the concern for the family and the future generations. Now, sabi dito sa ating slides, the future of humanity, okay? Or I would say the survival of the humanity passes by the way of the family. Ibig sabihin, it depends upon the family. Bakit kaya? Bakit kaya? Dahil ang sabi daw, a family is the best place. And I think not only the best place, but the only place of refuge, strength, inspiration, example, and source of love. Refuge. Diyan tayo nagtatago sa family. Diyan tayo humihingi ng respite, ng pahinga pag nasa bahay tayo. Strength. When you always see your father, your mother, your brothers and sister, you become what? Pag nanghihina ka sa sitwasyon mo sa buhay, when you look at them, you become strong. Because you draw inspirations from them. Diba? And some of us, nakikita natin, if your father is, like my father is a musician, I also become a musician. Your father is a doctor, you want to become a doctor also. So, source sila ng exemplary life and inspiration. And most of all, ang family. Now, another thing is that in the family, giving due respect to our elders and caring for them is a testament or evidence of our enduring value of respect for our family. We must value our lolos and lolas, aunties and titas, who are called the elderly ng ating family. Why? Because sila'y membro ng pamilya natin at naging bahagi ng ng buhay pamilya natin. And they took care of us, hindi ba? Another thing, family is strengthened by love. So yung salitang love, pag wala yung love sa family, magka-crumble down yan. No? Okay, mawawala ng tinatawag na strength, mawawala ng tinatawag na self-confidence sa mga bata, mawawala ng tinatawag na self-respect, hindi ma-develop yung self-respect, confidence ng bata kung walang love sa loob ng sambahayan. And then, merong understanding and mutual respect among members of the family. One important aspect na importante maintindihan natin, and there are also myths about quality time. Okay? Make it a point to spend your quality time with your family. Why? Because this will unite you more closely and bind you in understanding and love. Okay. Now, pero Ingat tayo because it's not quality time dahil malapit kayo sa bawat isa, shoulder to shoulder kayo, okay, dikit na dikit, pero ang hawak ninyo, tahimik na tahimik kayo because each and one of you, holding their own cell phones o kaya nanonood lahat tayo ng isang movie. There is no communication. Quality time, kahit ano pa yan, nagbabatuhan kayo ng putik o kaya kayo ay naglalaro ng, whatever it is, pag merong interaction, when there is communication, pag merong tinatawag na interspersion, yan ay quality time. You see? Hindi ibig sabihin magkalapit kayo, may quality time kayo. Magkasama kayo sa house, you are spending quality time. No. Quality time must have the element of communication, sharing, and enjoyment. Okay? Now, let me read on Matthew 19:4-6. Okay, sabi ng Lord Jesus, haven't you read? He replied that at the beginning, the Creator made them male and female and said, for this reason, a man will leave his father and mother and be united to his wife, and the two will become one flesh. So they are no longer two, but one flesh. Therefore, what God has joined together, let no one separate. That is the law of family or unfamily from the book of. Now, what we have learned today are the followings. We have highlighted the significance of work and labor and orderliness, di ba? And respect for the family, di ba? Under sa core value ng pagkamakadiyos. It enables you, students, and including me, we are the participants here, to have a deeper appreciation of the value of family, to allow students and participants to assess their own family values. Na, huwag tayong malungkot pag hindi ideal yung family natin. Importante yung future natin. If we cannot make it, huwag nyo sisihin yung sarili nyo, if we cannot make it in our own family now, we can do this in our future family. Paano? Take the values. Okay? Angkinin nyo yung values because yung values ang importante dito. Once you have the values, you have something, to start with. Now we will tackle the second core values in being a good Filipino citizen, which is called PAGKAMAKATAO, or in English we call it humanism or humane attitude, okay, or humane value. Under pagkamakatao, or the core value of pagkamakatao, nandun yung 5 elements nito. One is love, freedom, peace, truth, and justice. We will discuss all of these 5 elements of pagkamakatao sa slide na ito. But again, our learning objectives are the following. At the end of the discussion, the student will be able to inculcate love as a core value from which other values emerge. Okay, like kindness, charity, commitment, loyalty, and hospitality, respect, and other things. 2, to be able to rouse the participants' interest and appreciation of the value of freedom in their lives. And finally, to be able to identify the significance of peace in the life of the Philippines. Now, let's talk about love first. What is love again? Love is the value from which other values emanates, or that forms a good person. Okay, so a good person is being developed by love. He becomes a good person when he learns and experiences love. So sabi nga doon, if you have love, then everything will come or emanate from it. All good things will emanate from love. Well, hindi naman sa lahat ng pagkakataon ganon. Unless tama yung klase ng love that is in you. Love is a commitment. Now, tandaan natin, love is a commitment to action. You just don't say, I love you, without doing things you do, unless you provide for your family. Mahal na mahal ko kayo, but you do not provide for them. You do not provide for their table. You do not provide for their food. There's, tuition fees. Ang hirap sabihin. There must be an emphasis on the commitment in action. Okay? Again, love is also an intellectual and thoughtful decision. Hindi ka magpapakasal kasi mahal mo lang siya. You think about it very carefully, intellectually, ibig sabihin, babalansin mo ang lahat ng mga bagay. That is a very sensitive issue when it comes to getting married. Love is not sufficient to be the reason why you should get married. Or else, yung pag-ibig na yan, mauuwi sa hatred yan, okay? Another thing about love, pagdating naman sa nationalism, sabi ni Dr. Jose P. Rizal, nation wins their freedom by deserving it, by loving what is just, what is good, what is great to the point of dying for it. Freedom is something that you must have because you deserve it. You did not obtain freedom to the expense or on the expense of the other nation or other person. So you must be a loving person who loves justice, who loves what is good, and you understand the meaning of what? Sacrifice. Love also entails responsibility. Okay, ito yung importante sa love. Walang love na hindi kaakibat yung responsibility. The quality of love depends on the ability of the person to become responsible. Meron siyang sense of sacrifice and service. Okay? For example yan, yung love of the country. How do you express your love to your country? Love of the environment. How can you express your love sa iyong surroundings, sa Mother Nature? How do you express your love? So, may kaakibat yan na responsibility, sacrifice. Another thing is that love, when it comes to love, kung talaga nagmamahal ka, you value freedom. Okay? So, meron responsibility pagdating sa freedom. You cannot call freedom, as I have explained a while ago, you cannot say that you are really free, without first embracing responsibility. Freedom without responsibility results in anarchy. So without responsibility, what? People will just do what they want to do. That is anarchy is all about. And finally, let us listen to what the Bible said about love. Dito nakita natin the definition of love from the Bible is very graphic, very sabihin natin detailed, Sabi dito, love is patient, love is kind, it does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud, it does not dishonor others, it is not self-seeking, it is not easily angered, it keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. And now, these three remain: faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love. 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verses 4 hanggang. Let's talk about freedom. What is freedom? Freedom is the state of exemption from the power or control of another. It is also called liberty, exemption from slavery, servitude, or confinement. Now, mapapansin nyo, yung definition of freedom dito is more of, let's say, physical. May physical constraints na tinatawag. You see, sabi doon, liberty. When you say liberty, calling freedom liberty, that means dati kang nakakulong. Kaya nga nasabi mong liberty. How can you appreciate freedom kung hindi mo naranasan makulong? Di ba? So, liberty is sweet. Liberty is sweet when you experience being incarcerated. Exemption from slavery. Pag sinabi mo naman exemption, ibig sabihin, you are separated. You are not part of it. No, this is there is an adversity happening here and you are exempted from it. So exempted ka from what? From slavery, from servitude, or confinement. Okay? So, lastly, balik tayo sa una. Ito daw yung state of exemption from the power or control of another. You know, that is the worst, no? Worst slavery. Yung kinokontrol ka ng ibang tao. Yung isip mo, yung damdamin mo. But freedom is sweeter when we understand how Jesus has freed us from all these adversities of life. You see? Sabi doon sa Galatians 5:13, you, my brothers and sisters, were called to be free. We are called to be free. Sabi niya, freedom to what? Freedom to serve. Okay? Freedom to love. Freedom to give. You know? Maraming freedom that we don't want to be, sabihin natin, confined in. Ang gusto natin freedom, yung tinatawag na positive freedom. We don't want the negative freedom that I'm talking about. I'm talking about negative. Next, let's talk about peace. Now, in our definition of peace here, again, mapapansin nyo, it's more physical. Sabi dito, in a general sense, and it is a state of quiet or tranquility. I think it's quietness or tranquility. Okay? Freedom from disturbance or agitation. Applicable to society, to individuals, or to the temper of the mind. So it's more physical. You can also become peaceful, when there is what you call commotion outside your body, or there is what we call parang agitation surrounding you, but you still feel peaceful. There are times and there are people and there will be more circumstances that the outside world, while nagkakagulo ito, while ito ay puno ng aggression, there is still that peaceful spirit within somebody's heart and somebody's soul. So I hope nakaka-experience kayo ng. And again, peace cannot be attained through violence. If you want peace, if you want to pursue peace, okay, do not resort to violence because that is not apt. Hindi bagay yan. Kaya mo lang gusto makakuha ng peace sa pamamagitan ng aggression, mali yon. Okay? At anong mangyayari? Halimbawa, nakuha mo yung peace na hinahanap mo sa pamamagitan ng aggression. That peace is not lasting. That peace will not last for long. Peace cannot be attained through violence or other ways that do not promote order. There can be no lasting peace if the nation of the world prosper at the expense of other nations. Okay? So we don't expect na ang ating pong mga kapitbahay na kumakamkam sa ating mga lupain, katulad sa West Philippine Sea, ay magkakaroon ng tinatawag na peace. Mahirap tayo mag-judge nun, but again, there will be time of retribution na tinatawag. Now, let us talk about the 4 pillars of peace. Now, matatandaan nyo, very familiar yung love, freedom, truth, and justice, di ba? So, nabanggit na natin yan, but they are called also pillars of peace, like love. Hindi mabubuhay, hindi magkakaroon ng peace when love is not being activated, di ba? There will be no real peace pag walang freedom. Okay? Pag ikaw ay incarcerated, pag ikaw ay enchained, okay, makikita natin that peace is not possible without freedom. And finally, peace is only peace when it is founded on truth. Di ba? Okay, hope you understand that. And then finally, peace is highly prized pag merong justice, pag merong equity, pag merong pantay na pagtrato, then you become peaceful. How can you live a life without justice? Di ba? You cannot be peaceful in your life. Finally, let's talk about truth. Truth entails transparency, honesty, integrity, sincerity, and humility. That is why truth is a big word. Sabi doon, kasama ng truth yung transparency. Okay? You do not hide anything. Di ba? Wala kang tinatago. And then honesty. Honesty is what? Katulad din ng integrity. Integrity is being honest when nobody's looking. Di ba? That is integrity. How about sincerity? Sincerity now, hindi ka pwedeng mabuhay, okay, ng tunay na pamumuhay if you're not sincere with it. People will not learn to love, and people will not experience how to be loved without first being sincere in his life. And then humility, which is also called meekness. You know, when it comes to governance, pamumuno sa isang bansa, kinakailangan ng truthfulness. Kinakailangan ang namumuno ay nagmamahal sa katotohanan. Jesus said, if you hold to my teaching, you are really my disciples. Then you will know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Justice. Lastly, ito na yung uli, justice. Justice ensures that all people, regardless of any form of distinction, will receive the full benefit and protection of the law. Tandaan natin, yung batas ay para sa lahat. Ang justice is typically symbolized by a lady na nakapiring. No? Okay, may hawak na sword sa isang kamay at balance sa kanyang isa pang kamay. Ibig sabihin, yung equality. Justice is similitude, mayroon similitude sa equality. Equality or equity, I'm sorry. Okay? So, without equity, walang justice. Justice for everyone. But there is a justice, na napakagandang justice. Yung justice natin ngayon ay, it's very stiff, very hard. Ganun talaga, But sometimes, hindi ito na i-implement. Di ba? Sabi nga, justice delayed is justice denied. One, good example, or sad example, I should say, is the Mama Sapano Clash incidents. Na marami po tayong namatay na pulis, Okay? Without receiving, in due time, yung justice na para sa kanila. They died because of what? Parang indifference. Yung bang hindi maayos na pakikipagtalastasan ng mga, government agencies natin. And there are denials here and there. But the important thing, we really don't know this story, yung full detail na story. But one thing is sure. They were denied yung tinatawag na full justice. Yun yung nakakalungkot doon. But there is one justice, as I have said earlier, na yung pinakamagandang klaseng justice. When the justice is what? In-envelope sa pag-ibig. Justice because there is love all around it. Diba? May ganung magandang justice yan. Yung sinasabi ng justice that, yes, you have sinned. Yes, you are guilty. But in the end of the day, merong sasalo sa kaparusahan na ikaw sana ang mananagot. Then that is the Lord Jesus Christ. So, justice system is important also. Yung sinasabi natin kanina, pag ang sistema ay hindi maayos, pag ang justice system ay may problema, umasa ka, magkakaroon ng kaguluhan sa isang bansa, sa isang community, o sa isang city. So justice system is important. So what we have learned now, what is the outcome of our lesson today? Okay, we have discussed firstly yung pagkamakadiyos, core values, and just a while ago we have discussed yung pangalawang core values ng good citizenship, Filipino good citizenship, yung pagkamakatao. And at the end of our discussion, everybody will be able to, I suppose, highlighted the basic importance of truth in one's life, in national development, and significance in the quest to build a more just and humane makataong sosyedad o society. And we have identified and analyzed relevant social issues, yung mga EG natin kanina, that highlights the value of justice.